back out of Saltar Solutions, and I'm here today on Focus Forward with an absolutely phenomenal guest. I am so excited to have Gail Thackray here with us today, and we are going to talk about pets. Now, one of the things, this is a little bit of a spin-off of what I normally talk about, which is being an entrepreneur and how to be a better entrepreneur and all the things that you would need to do to be an entrepreneur. But I realized that 99% of my clients, who are all entrepreneurs, have dogs. Some of them have cats, but most of them have dogs. So I was even thinking maybe what I should be doing is marketing to dogs, because that way I think that these people, new entrepreneurs, will come to me, because I don't think people are marketing to the dogs. But it's really interesting that as I'm reading this book, I'm seeing things in this book, which is How to Talk to Your Pets. I'm seeing things in this book that I've been noticing about my dogs, and now I want to talk to Gail about it. Gail, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Laurie.
So this is a phenomenal book. I love it. How is it that you even thought about writing this book?
Well, you know, it's not that I was born as an animal psychic. You know, I thought if you could talk to animals, you were like, you know, Dr. Dolittle, and you actually had voices and things, and that you were born that way, that you're a little bit nuts. And I actually became a medium first with people. And that for me was a complete life change. I mean, I actually was a businesswoman, mom, and pretty normal. And then I had this life change and suddenly was able to talk to spirits on the other side. And, you know, at first I didn't believe that. I thought that was completely nuts, that I would talk to loved ones. And it took me a while to get used to that. I'd been just getting used to that. About 6 months into it, I was at a little shop with some friends, and the lady said, oh, we've got an animal communicator here. She's going to be giving a talk. So I thought, oh, we'll stay, you know, hang out. That'd be kind of fun. And she gave a little talk about it. And then people had photographs that they were going to, you know, share with her. So I said, oh, let me look at your photograph. Let me see what I get, you know, see if I can do it, right? So first picture I got was a picture of a dog. And I looked at the picture and I said, immediately my body felt like I was in the dog, wagging my tail like I was this little young pup, you know?
No way!
And I said, you know, I'm really good with the cats. They got 2 new cats, and most dogs would not be as good as I am, except for my yellow bone. I hid that behind the doghouse because I didn't want them to get that. And the lady goes, wow, that's so strange. We did get 2 little kittens. And she takes out a picture of the 2 kittens. I'm now in the body of the kittens. And I'm looking outside this window and I'm seeing these squirrels. And I'm thinking, oh, those pesky little things. I want to get those squirrels. And I tell them, I said, you know, Dad sits out there. The dog gets to go out there. Dad sits out there drinking a dark liquid. And they're out there. And these pesky squirrels are there. And I want to get them. And so I said to the mom, I said, does your husband sit outside with a Coke or something? She goes, a beer. He sits outside with a beer. And apparently the squirrels were out running around. And I thought, this is really strange. How did that happen? Then another lady said, what do you see in mine? So she gave me a picture of a cat. And I see these big pink slippers. And they're going around and around. They've got a little ball on the end. And I'm just mesmerized looking at these slippers. And I said, do you have a pair of pink slippers with a little ball on the end? She goes, yeah. I said, I think your cat watches you on an exercise bike or something. She goes, yeah, he does. He sits and watches me.
That's right.
And at first, I just didn't know how I was doing it. I just didn't believe it. And it comes in a very similar manner to when I do this spirit communication with, you know, loved ones that have passed. Animals, whether they're in spirit or whether they're here, they seem to communicate in the same way. And it's like a packet of information, like a thought comes to you. So we all do this with our pets normally. I mean, we know when our animal wants to go outside. We know when they want a little treat. They come over, they put our head on our lap, and they look at us, and we kind of know what's going on. So they're talking to us all the time. They hear everything that we say. We're just a little bit dumb about hearing everything they say. But we get it. We get a little bit. We've just kind of blocked it because we go, I can't do that. That would be weird if I could talk to animals. So I actually teach people how to do this, and it's really quite easy, and it's really just about getting quiet, and a lot of it is believing in yourself. A lot of time you think, oh, I must be making that up, I can't do that. But we do, and when you look into it, when you start experiencing animal communication, you see that it is amazing. They really are our partners. So it's not that far off when you talk about being entrepreneurial. These animals are our partners. So they often know what's going on with us at work. They know what is the deal coming up for us. They know conversations that we're having at work with somebody when they're not even there. They're not even, and you go, how can that be? They know stuff that's going on in our future. And so you think, animal communication is just about, knowing, are they happy and what are they doing? Oh, it's way more than that. They are really our partners.
Well, that's what I was reading in the book. I was like, they can tell you where they are, what's going on. I read a story about a woman who had a cat, that she got this great boyfriend. They were doing well. The cat's like, I'm not needed anymore. And the cat leaves and then finds this older gentleman that he's being friends with. Yeah. So I'm saying to myself, this is really unusual. I think it's really unusual.
Yeah, when they start to tell us things that, you can't imagine, well, how would they know that kind of thing? For instance, they do know the future. I had this lady came one time, and she had a picture of her cats. And the cats told me that there's a special private room in the house that they're not allowed to go in. But people leave their shoes outside this room, and so the cats would go and they would sniff the shoes, and they would know, who was in the room. And they said, tell Mom not to worry. And they showed me a vision of the door to the room with these little ballet slippers lined up. Well, the lady taught piano lessons, and she was worried about not having enough clients, and she just put an ad up at a ballet school. And so that was the kitten saying, look, Mom, in the future, here is all these ballet shoes. And so they know what's going on. I had 2 birds once, they said. Oh, my dad, he walks around the apartment by himself, talking to himself all day, and he could just ask us, like, we know the answer. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, he was asking, should I do this deal with Bob or should I do it with Bill? And he kept asking, but we can't tell him direct. He has to think that he came up with the idea somehow. We have to give him a sign, because we tell him direct, he just thinks that it is nuts, right? So he's asking, should I do it with Bob or should I do it with Bill? And so they said what we did was showed him a picture of a golden pumpkin on the lawn. Why that? Oh, well, Bill calls a couple of days later and says, let's talk about that new project. Do you want to go to that new restaurant? It's called the Golden Pumpkin. And Dad thinks he got this great idea. Wow, that's a sign. And so they're actually feeding us information all the time.
Well, it's amazing. I'm really curious because I have 2 dogs. One is very easy.
Don't tell me too much. You have the little one is your healing dog.
Okay.
That's the one that comes and sits on your lap and wants to be petted. Mm-hmm. And especially when you come back and you're all like, been busy and you're all stressed out, and you come home and you think, oh, it's so nice. We think that just stroking them makes you feel better. What they actually do is they actually take your energy and they process it. So they actually process and kind of de-smudge all that stuff that you've had. And so when they come over, they want petting and all that. It's not really for them, it's really for you. They're really helping you out. Sometimes you kind of overload that little one a little bit.
Yeah, it's amazing because she is there all the time, and she is the closest one to me. Mm-hmm. And it's just that she's really...
Does she get skin problems sometimes?
Yes.
Okay, because that's when you've kind of overloaded her. So once you get skin problems, I know you take the vet and you try all these different things, but the other thing you need to try is to clean off yourself a little bit. So you're a little bit clairsentient. You pick up a lot of other people's feelings. Mm-hmm. And so when you've had a busy day and a lot of people kind of coming and talking to you and getting advice and everything, and you don't really protect yourself, which is just, saying white light around you. When you don't really do that and you come home and your dog comes over and she gets petted and she takes the energy, and after a while, it gets to be a little bit too much. So you don't feel guilty about it. Just, tell her, oh, okay, I'll remember that before I come over. I'll just kind of do a little bit of clearing, just kind of connecting. And also spring water. You've been giving her fresh spring water, right? You've been giving her something other than tap water.
No, I've been giving her the water from the refrigerator that's filtered. Is that bad?
Okay. No, she wants the filtered water.
Okay.
Not the tap water. And she said you've done that, and that's great because that's really helping her. So filtered water or fresh spring water, or if you're near somewhere you could go to a stream or something, would be perfect. But yeah, that's definitely helping clear them out, right?
Excellent.
And now that's a little one, but you have a bigger one too.
Yeah.
Right. Now is she quite hyper and almost get a little bit anxious?
Only when there's like loud noises, but she's pretty calm.
Well, you rescued both of these.
Both of them.
Yeah. So the little one, that's something that went on bore yeah, there was a lot of loud noise and banging. I see like a restaurant with big pans and stuff banging, but there was a lot of stuff going on. I don't know if you know anything about her actual history. She never felt like she really was a family dog. It was more like she was at a business kind of thing.
Okay.
Right, so she never felt that loving family. So when she hears that banging, she gets a little bit nervous because it just brings up some bad memories. So you just have to tell her everything's fine and you're not going anywhere. She gets anxious that she might go back or you might, leave her. She's never feels completely confident.
Never feels completely confident.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So she doesn't really like it when you leave her, but she knows the time. So you could actually talk to her about, I'll be home at 5 o'clock. And she will feel a lot more comfortable because your schedule changes, she says. And you never really tell her about it. You just show up when you show up. And she'd feel a lot better if you said, I'm home at 3 today, I'm home at 5 today. And then if you're running late, then just send her a little message, I'll be home at 5:30. Okay.
Well, I travel a lot.
Yeah.
So when I'm gone, I have somebody comes and stays with them, but they tell me that when I'm coming home, the dogs are really, really active.
Oh, because they know. They know exactly when you're coming home. They know when you do home. But if you could send a little bit message that were a little bit more clear about exactly when you're coming home and when you're leaving, if you could say, okay, I'm going to be gone for 3 nights. I'll be back at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. You think I'm crazy that they would never know the time, but they do.
No, I think they do.
Yeah, and that's when the couch gets ripped up. Is when somebody goes to work and they're all anxious about leaving their animal, and actually it's probably fine the whole time they're gone. It's like taking a kid to daycare, and then while they're gone everything's fine, and then they come home and then the couch is ripped up. Well, the couch got ripped up 10 minutes before you got home, because they were all anxious about you coming home. So the damage is usually done right before you get home. So. And sometimes the anxiety comes from the person who's leaving them. Like the person is anxious about leaving them. And so they get all wound up because the owner's all wound up. And, they're going to get all wound up about being left again. And I don't know if I can leave them. And then, the one plays off the other's energy. And then as soon as they leave, they're fine.
It's amazing how I see them communicate with each other, too. Which it seems like how would they be able to communicate? But it's almost like that they communicate telepathically.
Oh, they do. They talk constantly. Okay, so you have a bigger dog. They're opposite personalities.
Opposite personalities, completely opposite. Completely opposite.
Now the big one, he gets a little protective.
Well, can. Oh, really.
Wants to check out relationships.
Yeah.
Like tells you if it's a good one or a bad one, but you don't always listen, but definitely tells you, and you'll notice afterwards, I didn't like that one.
I know, it's really strange. She's very, it's a girl.
It's a girl, but she acts like a more masculine, more protector kind of.
Yeah, it's very strange. One of the things I'm confused about is the little dog, she's not that little, but the littler one, she used to go in the car, and now she refuses to get in the car.
You need to tell her where you're going when you're coming back. Again, she keeps not completely sure that she's not going somewhere. And especially the more you travel, the more anxious she gets about, is Mum really coming back this time, or am I going somewhere else? So just tell her, you are definitely here, this is a home for the rest of your life, and we're going in the car, this is where we're going to have fun. Because she used to wind the window down. She used to, stick her head out the window, and she used to love that.
Yeah, she was fine, and now she just will not get. But I used to take her to my sister, so my sister would watch her for 5 days or 7 days or whatever, however long I was gone. So maybe that was it, because she got to a point where she just will not get anywhere in the car. And
you were a little too strict with this person that comes around and watches them now. You gave them dietary restrictions. Whereas when you're home, they get a little bit of leeway. She's like, Mom, could you tell them that I actually am allowed tidbits once in a while? Because it seems like when you're gone, they only get their dog food, and when you're around, they get a little extra. So if you could give us a little extra leeway there, that would be great.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's good advice. That's good advice. And then the other thing is, since dogs are giving us, animals are giving us information, how much information should we actually, because it's information that we absorb from them, how much information should we really pay attention to?
Well, it's about kind of tuning in and getting quiet and asking them things. And so you know, sometimes you might get a little message and go, oh, well, I think that was my pet, but then you're not really sure. And so the best thing to do is actually, you know, take the time where you say, okay, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna, you know, tune in. They like that when you can say, okay, we're gonna spend a half an hour together and we're just gonna have a go at doing this. Of course, it's easier to do it on photographs of somebody else's pets, because what you do is you do it on a photograph of somebody else's, and then, you know, you can say, well, do they do this and do they do that, and they can give you feedback. When it's your own animal, you can't get that feedback. So you think, well, I think they're saying this, but you don't know if it's your imagination, and there's no real way of checking up, you know. Maybe they'll give you a little signal, but it's a lot harder with your own animal. So, you know, I think we walk around all day and we think we know, but we're never really sure, and it just comes, I think comes with practicing on other people's animals, so that you can see if you're really communicating. But it comes in kind of a packet of information, almost like a memory. So if I said on Valentine's Day, what did you do? You kind of go back in your memory and you think, okay, that's where I was, and that's who I was with, and that's what I did, and kind of comes to mind. And you could tell me, but you can't give me the feeling. You can't tell me we went to this great restaurant. You can't give me the taste of the food. You can only kind of explain it in words. The way an animal communicates is they actually give you the whole packet of information, almost like a memory. And so when you say, you know, what's your favorite thing you do with Dad? And maybe it's running on the beach with a stick. It's not like you kind of get that in words. It's like you see the vision, and it's like that. Even before you finished asking the question, because while you're asking the question, they're already giving you the answer. And it depends how sensitive you are in different areas. Some people will see it. They'll see the scene of the dog running around on the beach, or some will like sense it, and maybe have the sense of smell, or the feeling. We kind of get all of it. They give it to us all, the feeling, the sights, the sounds, like it's a whole memory. And then we just pick up what bits we can pick up. But they send it to you like instant. So when you ask, you know, what's your favorite treat? If you're sitting there going, okay, is it this? Is it this? You're working too hard. It's the first thing that pops into your mind.
Okay. And
if they give you something a little unusual, like one of my teenage daughters took me to meet a boyfriend's family for the first time. And they were having this very formal dinner. And I don't know why, but my daughter in the middle pipes up, oh yeah, my mom's an animal communicator. Puts me on the spot, right? So so the lady of the house says, oh, I have a dog. And I thought, okay, well, you know, the first thing I could ask is, what's your favorite treat? You know, that's pretty easy. And I'm thinking like, you know, a bone or something, right? And the dog goes, sweaty socks. I'm thinking, oh no. So here I finally say, okay, so his favorite treat was sweaty socks. And she goes, ah! He gets in my laundry basket and he gets out all my underwear and my socks and takes them back to his doggy bed. And so, you know that you're not making it up when you get something like that, because it's not something you're gonna make up. And when you're getting that image and it's looking like, oh yeah, they're delicious, you know that those are not your feelings or your thoughts. Otherwise, a lot of the time you think it's your imagination. You think, oh, it's just, because it comes into your mind as a thought, as a memory almost. And so you think, oh, well, that's my imagination. But it's not. And there's a slight difference when you get used to it. But a lot of time people think, oh, I'm just making that up. But with our own animals, you kind of get an intuition. Oh, yeah, I think that's what they're saying. And you're probably right.
So how do we're quiet, we're with, you know, the picture or whatever, and we're asking questions, and then we're getting the answers.
Yeah, it's about being quiet is the main thing. I mean, we're so busy with our lives running around, you know, we have to like take the time to really just sit. And it's like an on-off button. You don't want to be on all the time. You want to just say, okay, now I'm going to, you know, switch on and I'm going to spend the time. I'm just going to sit quietly. And it's about going inside yourself. I tell people to start with a photograph and to look at the eyes. And then to start with easy questions. Start with, what's your favorite treat? What's the favorite thing to do? And just allow thoughts to pass into your mind and just, you know, throw out the first thing. And when I do workshops, it's about trusting. It's a little group, and I say, just throw out the first thing. And often they'll go, oh, I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it, you know, because they feel like, oh, I'm going to feel stupid, you know. But then they'll throw out things like, oh, your cat likes cucumbers. Wow, my cat does like cucumbers. And you know when you get something odd like that, you know, there's no way you can make it up. But a lot of it is about trust. It's about getting quiet. There's no like really secret formula to doing this. It's something that we can all do, and it's about removing the blocks that tell us we can't do it.
So do all animals communicate?
Oh, absolutely. But, you know, the domestic ones are more used to us talking to them. So now you go out in the wild, you know, you look at a squirrel and they'll be like, "You talking to me?" Because they're not so used to it, you know. And I'm busy, I've got nuts to collect for my family, you know. Whereas our domestic animals are constantly, you know, they feel like they are truly our partners. And they all like to have separate roles. And that's why sometimes you've got several animals in a family and they might, you know, get a little upset with each other. It's because, you know, this one's going, "Well, I'm Mum's healer dog. You stay away. You're the protector dog," or, you know, "You're more the intelligent dog," or the meter greeter, but, you know, I'm doing the healing thing. And if one steps on the other's toes, if they're a little confused, then they could get upset with each other. So when you've got several animals, you have to make it really clear, "I really appreciate you because you do a wonderful job of healing, and, you know, you make me feel protected, so you don't need to bark or, you know, or hurt anybody or growl or anything like that because, you know, I feel completely protected by you," or, you know, "You're my fun, playful," but like appreciate them for what they do because they feel like they're our partners. Now, you have a cat that passed away. You have a cat in spirit around you from when you were younger. There's definitely a big black cat around you in spirit. You know, when animals pass away, they stay around us. So you've got many dogs, but you have one cat. And also the littler dog you had when you were younger too. You had that one as a family dog. And you've looked at her sometimes and said, "Oh, you know, my other dog used to do that. You've got some of the same traits." So, do you know which one I'm talking about? Because you definitely had.
Well, I would have to say that would be a dog when I was younger, yeah. And this dog is
has very similar traits.
Yeah.
And often they will reincarnate in our lives because, you know, the lifespan is only maybe 15, 20 years at most. And often they will stay around us in spirit. And then they will come back, if, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times in our lifetime. So we sometimes do get the same animal that comes back. And they're always connected with us. And I found by doing animal communication, you know, when you lose an animal, it's very sad. But the more I've done this, the more I realize that to them, it's not that big of a deal. That when they pass away, they're just leaving their physical body, but they're around us. And they communicate with us, and they're there. We often sense them. And then they might, you know, take the opportunity to come back.
Well, it's very interesting that you mentioned this because when I was reading the book, I kept having the vision of that dog from my childhood. And we had many dogs when I was growing up, but there's the one dog that I was very close to, and I kept having the vision of that dog when I was reading, and then thinking about Leah, which is my dog now. So, you know, maybe that's what it is. But
now, who's Cindy or Cynthia in spirit? A person? Don't know who that is.
No.
Okay. They often see spirits around you. So your mom is definitely around the smaller one. And sometimes you'll see her playing, as if there's somebody there.
Oh, she's always looking like there's somebody there.
Yeah, that's when your mom's around. So she's often there with your mom. They can easily go to the other side and back and communicate with the other side and communicate with us. The bigger one's telling me that you're going to be writing a book. So have you been writing books already?
I've written a few different books, but I'm gearing up to write another book.
Yeah.
So that's funny that
There's a more important one. This one's getting like really serious now and saying, you know, Mum needs to get down and do this. This is a more serious dog, right? The one that seems like she's a male, but she's female.
Right.
And yeah, she's saying that you've got a book coming up, you need to get down and do it. And she watches you when you're on your computer.
Yes.
Yeah, she'll sit behind you and watch you. And she's like, "Get serious, Mum, we need to do this." And she says that she gives you a lot of intuition. So a lot of the things that you're writing, actually, she's helping you a lot. So if you could tune in a little bit more before you sit down, you know, she wants to take some of the credit for the book that you're writing. Maybe you could give her a little credit in the back or something. But this book is going to turn into a series of lessons. So it's not just a book, it's a book and a workshop, and it's a whole structured learning experience to do with finance, but also to do with spirituality. But she's definitely helping you with that and giving you a push that you need to get moving on it, because there's been something holding you back and you keep saying, "Oh, I've got this to fix." She's like, "Just forget about that, Mum, and just get moving with this, because it is going to come off and it is going to be wonderful." And she's showing me this future that is, you're going to be very excited about it. And you're going to say, why didn't I do this sooner? So stop worrying about the little things that you've got to deal with and get working on that.
That's really funny that you should mention that. That's really interesting.
And she does take you out walking, she says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mum needs to walk more often, and she actually gets insight when we're out walking. And
Yes.
again, she thinks that's her, but you know, that's me again. So she could take me out walking a little bit more often, but she pulls a lot. Right? She takes you walking.
Yep.
She's exercising you, she says.
Yep.
But she's also feeding you intuition as you're out and about. They're very separate, these two dogs.
Very separate.
They don't they're not cuddly together. They're more like, this is my role, that's my role,
Yep.
and we respect each other. But it's more like, I'm mom's and she's mom's, but you know, we're not together that much.
Those dogs are very, very interesting. Very interesting. Well, thank you so much. This was awesome. This was really great. I learned so much. I'm going to listen to my dogs more when it comes to business. I'm going to be talking to them about business because I think they probably know a lot about business as well. I really do.
And you can't, you know, you're going to have to, when you ask them a question, they can't directly speak back to you most of the time. So then watch what they show you on the computer and watch what somebody says to you, because that's them putting something in your path.
That's awesome. I can't wait. So thank you so much for being here. This is awesome. You're wonderful. Love the book. Love, love, love the book. If you have a pet, get the book because they're trying to tell you something, and this book will help you to understand what it is. So thank you so much, Gail, for being our guest.
Thank you, Laurie.